Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But science is not. Science is not in the eye of the beholder. I mean, you just run up against facts.
Bill Maher has gone full demolition mode on the Democrats, and it's savage. The far-left fanatic stuffed America with non-stop woke nonsense, and Maher is tearing it down brick by brick. On a recent Real Time with Bill Maher, he dragged the woke brigade through the mud, torching them for idolizing reckless, unhealthy choices. This wasn't just jokes. It was a political firestorm. If you live for unfiltered, no-holds-barred truth bombs, hit that subscribe button and buckle up.
It's interesting. Now that we have Ozempic, I hear much less about the body positivity movement, which was always Orwellian. It was always Orwellian to say that being fat was body positivity. It is the exact opposite, or this bullshit about how you could be healthy at any...
Right out of the gate, Maher tore into the woke mob's obesity hypocrisy. And he wasn't even trying to be gentle. Not long ago, hinting that someone overweight might benefit from exercise or healthier eating got you labeled fat-phobic and canceled faster than a Netflix reboot. Social media was a parade of influencers glorifying reckless habits, all wrapped up in a shiny body positivity bow. The self-righteous woke fan club cheered it on, urging people to stay trapped in unhealthy routines and call it empowerment. But now the script's flipped. Suddenly, everyone's clamoring for an OMIC prescription to drop pounds overnight. Turns out, body positivity was never about empowerment. It was just another hollow feel-good stunt cooked up by the woke Democrats.
But the reality is that people throughout time have an idea of classical standards of beauty. And in our case, in our civilization, there have been an American standard of beauty that actually reflects what people want. And so,
well, fat was in at a time. You can see it in the paintings, but it's when people were poor and food was, you know.
It's sign of
that's right. And in certain cultures, like the Pacific Islander cultures, there's different cultural ramifications. But the reality is that more people would rather be, petite, trim, low body fat, than be 500 pounds. And I think that's what
maybe in your white
proves.
world, but I mean, that's not everybody.
Except for a handful of rare outliers, being overweight is a one-way ticket to poor health, race, culture, tradition, or tribe. None of it matters. Human biology doesn't negotiate with political correctness. It's basic math. Your body wasn't built to lug around excess fat without paying the price. Here's the unglamorous truth. Don't consume more fuel than your body can burn. When you do, the surplus doesn't vanish. It sticks around as fat, hammering your heart, joints, and vital organs. Over time, those extra pounds lay the red carpet for diabetes, heart disease, and a shorter life. Health isn't cultural, it's biological. And ignoring that fact is a fast track to disaster.
Top comics from the U.S. will perform at a festival in Saudi Arabia. What does this suggest about how liberals view the country now? Yeah, I mean, some big names are performing in Saudi Arabia. I mean, who's going? Is my question.
It seems high risk. It seems like the thing that might end in a public beheading if you say the wrong thing.
I don't think
I would keep the jokes right within the lines. Yeah.
I don't think this is about politics and how they see Saudi Arabia. I think this is about this.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. How much are they being paid?
Saudi Arabia knows how to bribe. They did it with sports. Now they're doing it with comedy?
Yeah.
Wow.
Political principles tend to go out the window when there's enough money on the table.
Maybe Colbert get a job over there.
That's liberalism in a nutshell. Loudly waving sacred principles until money shows up. Then poof. Those principles vanish faster than a campaign promise. Hypocrisy. It's practically their logo. Here's the punchline. We live in a country where crossing the comedy line can end careers or worse. Yet, these fearless comics blink not once when the paycheck is hefty.
Remember this, when President Trump ran for office the first time, his big chant at the rally was "lock her up." I was a little bit like, this seems a little extreme, not sure how I feel about this, but after he won, he said something very interesting. He said, that was a campaign thing, Hillary's fine, we're going to all move on. And he didn't actually seek to prosecute his political opponents. But now, over the last 10 years, we've had Russiagate, we've had investigations, we've had indictments, we've had arrests, we've had the mugshot, we'd have a bullet through his ear.
Rufo's onto something downright intriguing here, and it's more than theory. It's pure strategy. He argues that Trump should go straight for his political foes, namely the entrenched power brokers atop the Democratic Party. And honestly, it makes total sense. During his first term, Trump played it safe, taking the high road. He didn't strike at opponents preferring policy and governance. The result? Endless investigations, manufactured scandals, and relentless persecution dragging him through the political mud at every turn. Lesson learned. Restraint doesn't earn respect in D.C. It smells like blood in the water. Rufo's message is razor sharp. Trump should hold his adversaries accountable, not for revenge, but to send a crystal clear warning. No one is above the law, and no office exists for abuse without consequences. It's justice, plain and simple.
I know you've all been told that you can have it all, and you're a queen and a lady boss, and that bitch. But maybe your judgy is no prize either. And if you jilt a guy for not thinking enough about Black Lives Matter, just tell me this. What have you actually done that made any more of a difference in any black life than what your inadequate ex-fiancé did? I asked Senator Adam Schiff here last week when the subject of Trump's sliding poll numbers came up. Okay, but how are the Democrats going to blow it this time? This is how. Posturing, purity tests, the politics of I unfriend you if you're not exactly with me 1,000%.
Yes, the Democrats are still fumbling their shot at leading this country again. And the reason is as predictable as ever. Their obsession with moral grandstanding. Instead of rallying Americans around real solutions, they mount their self-built pedestals and preach down at the rest of us. It's a tired performance, yet one they can't seem to quit. Their favorite hobby, alienating half the country that refuses to kneel to their radical woke agenda. Everyday Americans worried about jobs, security, and stability are cast as villains simply for not echoing the latest progressive talking points. And instead of learning from past defeats, Democrats double down, lecturing, shaming, and dividing. In doing so, they are squandering the very opportunity to regain power. You'd think after 2016 and 2020, they'd have caught on, but nope. Alienation and arrogance remain their playbook.
How do you define wokeness? Because I hear people use the term all the time, and it means something different to everybody.
Well, again, I think it's this collection of ideas that are not building on liberalism, but very often undoing it. 5 years ago, Abraham Lincoln was not a controversial figure among liberals. We liked him. Now they take his name off schools and tear down his statues. Really? Lincoln isn't good enough for you? 5-10 years ago, bedrock liberalism was we are striving to be a colorblind society where we don't see race. Of course, we see it, but it doesn't matter. That's not what woke is. Woke is something very different. It's identity. We see it all the time. It's always the most important thing. I don't think that's liberalism.
In this clip, Bill Maher isn't just taking shots at woke. He's on a full-on mission to annihilate it. For him, it's not politics. It's about saving common sense from a culture spiraling out of reality. Maher argues that woke ideology isn't merely annoying. It erodes society's very foundations. It swaps truth for dogma, reason for outrage, and merit for identity politics. At its core, it's anti-common sense, forcing people to deny plain facts just to look virtuous. And when a culture prioritizes lies over logic, chaos is inevitable. That's why Maher calls it dangerous. It corrodes trust, splits communities, and poisons discourse. He's blunt. If we don't fight back, the woke agenda won't just bug us. It will tear apart the very fabric holding society together.
You get a certain amount of cult followers for anything, and then the true believers never die. I mean, a lot of people would say right now the Democratic Party is still in that mode, which is going to render them possibly an irrelevant party if they don't change.
What would you like to see from the Democrats, like going forward?
Much more centrism, much more get rid of the woke baggage, old school liberal is what I usually describe myself as. But that's very often the opposite of woke. Woke would like people to believe that there's some sort of an extension of liberalism, but they're not.
Maher is spot on. The Democratic Party is trudging toward irrelevance. And without a serious course correction, political oblivion is inevitable. History is littered with once mighty parties that surged with promise but collapsed because they refused to adapt or tackle real voter concerns. The Democrats are following that same doomed trajectory, clinging to ideological purity and woke grandstanding instead of addressing kitchen table issues like the economy, security, and healthcare. Now look at Trump. When parts of his strategy faltered, he didn't double down on failure. He recalibrated, honed his message, and fought his way back to power. That's the political difference between survival and extinction. Adaptability. If Democrats can't shed their arrogance and confront reality, Maher's warning won't just be commentary. It'll be prophecy.
If the thought leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe, the Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids, a pattern that then continues on in the Democratic Party. Last election, it was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such.
The Democrats have turned weak, spineless, and hopelessly hooked on woke ideology. They can't stand firm on anything they claim to believe. The moment those beliefs are challenged, their entire platform crumbles like a house of cards. Even their most prized woke policies buckle under real-world scrutiny. Press just a little and the contradictions are laid bare for all to see, leaving them exposed and humiliated. This is exactly why Bill Maher warns that the Democratic Party is on a path to extinction. A party that can't defend its own ideas, that hides behind moral posturing instead of delivering practical solutions, has no future. Maher sees it clearly. When your foundation rests on performative virtue signaling rather than common sense, time is not your ally. Unless they rediscover backbone and reality, the Democrats are quietly erasing themselves from relevance.
Last election, it was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such. Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children.